Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. About 9 topics for this video. The first one has to do with the Russians taking control of some villages in 3 areas. 2 areas in Donetsk People Republic, the other one in Luhansk. So that's reported by the Russians and the Ukrainians. I'm going to show you about 4 maps on that one. The Russians are trying to get back their gas rigs, platforms in the Black Sea by the Snake Island, located by the Romanian coast. The other one, well, it seems like the North Korean military is fighting in Ukraine. It's a little catch. Is it true? Well, I have 2 articles here to discuss that issue. Then we find out from eyewitnesses that the Polish mercenaries execute Russian civilians. Eyewitnesses. Now, I know some of you or some of them might say, well, it's a lie, they're lying. Remember the Second World War? A lot of eyewitnesses were there regarding certain incidents, and they were all trusted if they told the narrative. If not, you never heard of them. They are available right there. You can find them on YouTube as well. Now, we find out that Lithuania seized how they call it? Let me just give it the right word. Military supplies. Seized Russian military supplies sent from Kaliningrad to Russia. Why? What are those supplies? And I'm going to compare and contrast 2 victory. 2 articles coming from 2 different sources, one from the Russians, the other one from the Business Insider. And you're going to find out actually what those military supplies were. I mean, obviously, you would expect tanks or something like that. Well, we find out that the Russians use thermobaric weapons in Ukraine, and this is a special bomb, actually. We're going to explain what a thermobaric weapon is, a vacuum bomb. A vacuum bomb. That's very important because these are just incinerating people. Cuba, I've been waiting for you, baby doll, for some time. Cuba officially applies to join BRICS. You know what it means? That means that Cuba could potentially officially accept some Russian weapons on its territories. Like, I don't know, Poland has American weapons, Romania has American weapons and troops, the same as Poland. So it's something from the Bible, I think. Is that a golden rule or something? What you don't like to be done unto you, you don't do unto others. So if you think it's okay to do this to someone, then it should be okay for someone else to do this to you, basically. So you rather not do it. But the problem is, these guys are saying, we're doing it, you can't do it. You know why? Because we're going to punch you in the face. But now they can't punch the other guys in the face, therefore they're going to be just foaming at the mouth. Next one. Ukraine blackmails the Slovakian people. Not Fico, Robert Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia. How? Turn off the Russian gas. Therefore, you do what I wanted to do. Otherwise, this is a blackmail. Good job. Well, because Mr. Shmyhal, finally we find out about Mr. Shmyhal Stein as well. He met Prime Minister Robert Fico yesterday, and they talked about it. So they came to say, hey, you know what? We're going to blackmail you now. You either give us what we want, otherwise you're not going to have Russian gas anymore. You have to pay premium if the Americans will give you the gas, liquefied natural gas. Next, Russia captures 2 villages, one in Donetsk, one in Luhansk, and as I said, the other one in Donetsk as well, by Uzhhorod. And I'm going to have 2 maps to show you where. All right, let's start with the first article. This comes from Sputnik. It is from 3 hours ago. Today is the 8th of October 2024. Russian forces take control of DPR's Zolotaya, Niva. Ukraine loses up to 115 troops, Minister of Defense. So where is this Zolotaya, Niva? Russia's battle group Vostok has taken control of the village of Zolotaya Niva in the Donetsk People's Republic, the Russian Defense Ministry said on Tuesday, adding that Ukraine lost tralala. Alright, so let's see where this is. And I got a little map here, and here is between Uzhhorod, right here, and Velika Novosilka. This is exactly the one that the British intelligence claim that the Russians will move towards, which is northwest of Vuhledar or Ugledar. So Vuhledar is here. This is the city we're talking about, or town, and this is the conquered one. We're going to look on a different map of Ukraine right here. This looks much better. And this is by Zaporozhye region almost. So this is the border between Zaporozhye Oblast and Donetsk Oblast, and Vuhledar is exactly here. So this is, they're moving this way. Right here, Zolotaya Niva is exactly here, in between Ugledar, or Vuhledar, and Velikaya Novosiolka. They have different names because it depends on the map. If it's Ukrainian, if it's Russian, it's whatever, you know, geography doesn't lie most of the time. Because if you put the right border and you put the wrong border, then obviously, and you make different claims, yeah, geography lies in that case. Political maps. All right, so here it is. This is occupied. The Russians did not update their garbage yet. Nevertheless, this is what they claim. Next one. Ukrinform. Russia trying to attack gas production platforms near Snake Island, border guards. Now, they put gas production platforms. When they attacked yesterday, I made a video on that one, they say just that the Ukrainians took over the gas platforms, located next to Snake Island. The Russian military tries to attack gas production platform near Snake Zminy Island, but Ukrainian forces maintain control over the platforms and the island. That I hope one day is going to come back to the legal owner, which is the country of Romania. And let's see where that occurs. I'll go from this map where we were last, and this is the Crimean Peninsula, and you move west, or from Romania east, and that island is right where my strong hand is. You can see a little piece of shit over there, right there, that Romanians gave back, not gave back, that's a wrong word, said we don't need it because it has no strategic position. What are you talking about? No strategic position. Why are these guys fighting for it then? This is the border of Romania, and this is Bessarabia, which was Romania and now belongs, given by Stalin, to Ukraine. So that's how Ukraine got as a country, given territories. And here is the country, the country of Moldova, which again is part of Bessarabia, which was taken through by an ultimatum by Stalin and given, attached to a country, new form country of Ukraine, like these territories from Poland, these territories from Hungary, and these territories from Russia. So there you have it. So this is where the platforms are located. And Romanians did not want it because these guys are fighting for gas in the area. Okay? Imbeciles. Traitors, not imbeciles. Next one. Look at this title. Agence France Presse, October 8, 2024. North Korean soldiers highly likely killed in Ukraine. The guys from Seoul say, from South Korea. So South Koreans claim that North Korean soldiers highly likely killed. Where's the evidence? The thing with you know or you don't know. If you say highly likely, that means you don't have the evidence. If I tell you, well, it's highly likely that the neighbor fucks the other neighbor, well, how do I know that? Eyewitnesses? It depends who you are to be trusted as an eyewitness. Remember the first, all right? We're going to get to that one. So, highly likely. That means you don't have the evidence. If you take a picture of, then you say, here they are. You don't say highly likely. That's, I don't know, Jamie with Mikey or something. And they're added. That's a different story. So highly likely. Remember when those Russians from KGB. Let's call it KGB. I don't like the new term FSB or something. No. KGB. When the guys in KGB attempted, but they were so unprofessional, and they failed to poison those guys in London. Remember, they attempted with Novichok. Remember, the court in Great Britain determined that it was highly likely that it was the Russians, but they didn't convict anybody. It was highly likely. Like, it's highly likely that the US blew up Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipeline. It's highly likely. Doesn't mean they did. No. Why? Innocent until proven guilty. But nevertheless, this guy's highly likely. They're killed. And the next one says this, from New Voice of Ukraine: North Korea likely sending troops to Ukraine to support Russia. I mean, I know there's no smoke without a fire somewhere. And let's see. Oh, and we have the woodchuck here. I'll show you the woodchuck. All right, so this is what it is with these guys. So what are you going to do about it? I tell you what you're going to do. Nothing. Why? You already imposed all your sanctions on North Korea. North Korea is broadly embraced by the Russians, and the Chinese are working on it. And they have nuclear weapons, so back the fuck off. What are you going to do? Nothing. Blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, these guys that are crying about, they supply weapons to the Ukrainians, and they sanction the Russians. I'm talking about, right, the South Koreans. Aren't they supplying anything? No? Aren't they sanctioning Russia because the master of puppets, Mr. Al Capone, told them so, which is the United States of America? So, the big should a little bit smaller. And you do all kind of military drills around North Korea, and with whom? With the partners. And North Korea should just take it like a bitch, bent over and deep, right? No, my friends, no. If we are to be just, we have to agree that a rape over there is a rape over here, regardless the protagonists, the criminals. You should call them criminals as they are, regardless if that's a relative of you or that's an enemy of you. That's an act of this and that. The same here. Yeah, they're gonna send. So these guys, I think, let's say, how should I put it for YouTube? I think they operate, the Patriot systems are operated by the NATO military. Americans, that is. I don't think there is the Ukrainians operating those. I'm 99.9% certain. Why? They will not even let the Ukrainians look at them. How I know that? The Americans did not allow the Romanians look at the air defense systems when they deployed them a few years back. Remember that Putin was upset about it? The Romanians are not operating that. The Americans are operating. Why? You're not going to give the baboons the technology. Are you crazy? The same. Do you think these guys are going to give the Ukrainians the technology to operate with? They can just drive it across the border to the Russians? I don't know, a few trucks with the Patriot systems, air defense systems, and the missiles. Are you crazy? Please, man. I mean, this is baboonish. So yeah, you are operating. The same with Abrams tanks. I don't think those Abrams tanks or the Leopard 2 tanks, German tanks, are up, or Challenger 2 by the Brits. I don't think those are operated by the Ukrainians for the same reason. It's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely. All right. So if we talk about these kind of things, it's always about probabilities and possibilities. Is it possible? It is possible. It is probable. In the case of the North Koreans to fight over there, it's highly probable. The same thing on the other side. It's highly probable that those guys are operating the Patriots, the HIMARSes, the F-16s, probably the fighter jets. You think these guys are going to give the Ukrainians fighter jets that they can just fly it to the Russians, like that Soviet Union pilot? The Soviet pilot flew that what was MiG something? I can remember what MiG was it. They flew it to Japan in '87 or something like this. The newest plane. And the Americans were called by the batches over there in Japan to come over and inspect everything. They took it all apart and then sent it back to Russia. Soviet Union? Are you crazy? No, you're not. Why? Because you're here with me. All right, let's move to the second one. Eyewitnesses. Do we trust eyewitnesses? Eyewitnesses in a court of law are not really trusted. I tell you why. Because if you have that studies made on this one, if you have eyewitnesses on the same event, with time that erodes, and they will have sometimes even not opposite, but very far apart conclusions of what they saw, testimonies. So that's why eyewitnesses is really, because the brain creates new memories and erases memories, and then they blur in. I'm sure it happened to you in your life when you imagine something and say, what the hell, man, was it like that? And sometimes your memories are altered from what actually happened. When you speak with, let's say, your mom, I remember, mom, when this happened, and your mom is like, that didn't happen, it was not like that. And you were both involved in the same situation, and you ask witnesses, your brain was like, woo, woo, woo. Why? That's the way the brain works. So, but the problem is political. If you have enough to gain out of a testimony, eyewitness testimony, then you will accept all the testimonies that will say the same thing, and you will ignore the ones that oppose the whatever you want to push onto the society. And that's regarding a Second World War. Many eyewitnesses witnessed all this and that and this and that. But there are many voices on the other hand that say there's no such a thing, that didn't exist, and was no, I was over there, eyewitness. Now who's lying? Do you get it by the numbers? How do you figure things out? Well, you go to the hard evidence, and the hard evidence was not over there. So same here. Let me show you what these guys are saying in Russia today. 7th of October. Polish mercenaries executed Russian civilians. Eyewitnesses, plural. Is it true? Now, obviously, these guys will deny, the West will deny that without having evidence or counter-arguments or evidence, but the Russians will say, well, we have these guys, this testimony. All right? How is that Me Too movement? She should be trusted? Why only that and not that? Why only that part of the equation, but not that one? So it's very tricky. Personally, I have no doubt that crimes occur. Not only in Ukraine, in every war. Why? Because it's the war. I'm not trying to justify that whatsoever, but it's an evidence. Read any war, history of any war that you witnessed, except one. That's in the Middle East. No. One-sided, never. Okay? So look at every war and you're going to find out incidents of war crimes. Why? These guys armies are formed of human beings. Human beings have weaknesses. Human beings have feelings. Human beings have, in the middle of the situation, they will do garbage. Like, remember those guys coming with their hands up in the Middle East now, with a white underwear, and they were shot. But hey, there was what? There was a war crime right there. Now, is the whole army guilty of that? No, you just go to it depends what the orders were given. If the orders were given, do that. If that happens, then yes, the military. But then you get the incidents, which are everywhere. So I'm pretty sure this happened, and I'm pretty sure the Russians did the same thing. Some Russians, the same with some mercenaries. And remember, the mercenaries are not the same thing as a country's military. They are a little bit more loosey-goosey in following the Geneva Convention. Foreign troops killed the old and young alike. Sudza, local residents have claimed in Sudza. Foreign mercenaries fighting for Kiev executed a group of unarmed Russian civilians in the border town of Sudza in Kursk region, according to eyewitness accounts released by the Russian Defense Ministry. 2 local residents. Now, if you say, well, these guys are lying, why aren't the other guys lying? Because that's your guys? All right, so bring evidence. 2 local residents who saw firsthand the actions of Ukrainian forces that invaded Russia in early August painted a grim picture of the realities of the occupation, which included alleged, you see, I like this, it's alleged, war crimes and the persecution of civilians. In a clip released on Sunday, a refugee named Dmitry, who apparently managed to make his way to Russian-controlled territory, recalled that the soldiers had, and I'm quoting, rounded up all the old people, the young, and shot them in front of everyone. They were Poles. He added that 2 civilians had managed to flee into nearby forest during the commotion. Sergei added that the soldiers were then called on the radio and ordered to go elsewhere, although told to sit tight. Sergei said he tried to flee, but changed his mind after hearing gunshots and the screams of women and children. And I'm quoting, a gun burst and then silence. Where would they go? Where would you go to? They are shooting, he said. Now, this is, now they try to say about Ukrainian military, they talk about the Nazi concentration camps, eyewitnesses and all that. So that's the way, unfortunately, happens in a war, and that's why you should stop the war as soon as possible. I'm talking about the Ukrainians and the Russians, not the criminals who are behind, making money and selling weapons, and making weapons as well. So what's going on over here? I have no doubt things like this happen. Now the question is, what do you think will happen when, or if, I don't think it's going to be when, if the guys from the West through the Ukrainians will go over Crimean Peninsula? What do you think will happen? I know exactly what will happen. It's going to be two things. One is either going to be ethnic cleansing by these guys just running away, or these guys pushing them out of Crimea, or they will just say, you guys cooperated. About 90% of the population will be called on to say, you cooperated. And what do you think happens with the collaborationists? Go and see in Ukraine what happens with them and everywhere else. So those guys should fight like crazy. Why? If these guys come over, they're screwed. All right, I want to say something, but it was too long. All right, let's see how these guys report the seizure of, I think that's the way you pronounce it. If not, you know what I mean, of military supplies. I'm going to go with the first article coming from a Business Insider. And these guys claim, and this is from yesterday, October 7th, that Lithuania says it intercepted military supplies on their way to Russia and sent them to Ukraine instead. Now, if you read this, you say, okay, military supplies. Your imagination doesn't go to, 5 pairs of pants, does it? All right, they posted this little picture of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 camouflage-like pants that could be, used in the hunting, but nevertheless, Lithuania Customs said that it intercepted military supplies leaving the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad. It said the supplies were likely volunteer donations meant for Russia's army. It gave them to Ukraine. Well, let me give you this. I recently attended a concert of Megadeth with my, so I went over there. And I took a, selfie stick, because I wanted to maybe make a little video. So I went through the, when they search your cock and see if it's in your balls, before you enter, so you don't bring certain things, and what else. And they didn't like my little stick, it was like this big. They didn't seize it and gave it to their kids or to whomever. They said, you can't enter with this one. And I went back to my car and left it over there. What am I supposed to do? Not see Dave Mustaine or what? So I went my little stick and I took it in my car and came back and I was good to go. So the same, when you see something coming in your country, I think you don't just take it and then you give it to someone else. That's theft. That's not your property. You block it. You don't allow it to come in your country. That's all you do. You don't stop it, you seize it, and then you give it to whomever you think you want to give it. That's theft. So again, I think this guys committed a theft. And what did the military supplies? Lithuania, once part of Soviet Union, is one of Ukraine's largest donors in terms of GDP. Yeah, from their people to some other people's idiotic fight against the Russians. But anyway, Lithuanian custom officials said they intercepted. The customs is when they enter the country. Intercepted shipments, plural, of military supplies, wow, en route by rail to Moscow and sent them straight to Ukraine. Who are you? This is illegal. You don't seize it. You give it back to me from entering your shit. Now, custom officials inspected carriages on Lithuania's southwestern border. Said southwestern is right here. So this is Lithuania. This is Belarus. This is Kaliningrad. So southwest is in this area. So it's not on the exit, it's on the entrance, the entrance customs, border customs right here. Man. All right, so Southwestern border said that between 27 and Wednesday, September 27, they found parcels of camouflage pants and nets in 4 separate shipments. They said the trains were traveling from Kaliningrad, a Russian enclave bordering Lithuania and Poland, to Moscow, straight to Moscow. Why to Moscow? What, Putin needs them? So let's see the truth. Russia Today. EU state Lithuania seizes pens from Russian train. Now remember, if these baboons would have seized, I don't know, weapons or bullets, they would have taken a picture of those and placed them over here. This is what they actually seized, my friends. This is according to Business Insider, that writes, in a certain way. Right? They made this title military supplies, and the Russians make it seizes pens, and they post the same 5 freaking pens. Lithuania has confirmed 5 pairs of camouflage pens from a passenger train traveling from Russian enclave to Kaliningrad to Moscow. The authorities have said, promising to send them as aid to Kiev. This is what they said. The authorities, and I'm quoting, detected and detained a mail consignment containing possibly military items. Possibly. As I said, you can use those for hunting. Camouflage trousers, Lithuanian customs said in a statement. And then you steal them and give them to whomever you want. The garment falls under the EU Council sanctions on Russia as clothing specifically designed for camouflage. So the Lithuanians follow Brussels orders. Custom officials consider these items to be destined for Russian forces fighting against Ukraine, and they were sent 5 of them to Moscow. How imbecilic this is, and are usually sent by members of various voluntary organizations operating in the Kaliningrad, Russian Kaliningrad region. 5 pairs of pants. But let me show you something else. It said rail traffic from Kaliningrad to the rest of Russia must pass through Lithuania soon after the outbreak of the Ukraine conflict. Vilnius announced that it would block the transit of goods that fall under EU sanctions on its territory. And here is the bullshit, right here. The region's governor, Anton Alkanov, called Lithuania's decision an attempt to strangle the area. He said that 20 to 40% of the goods that once passed between Kaliningrad and the rest of Russia fall under the restrictions, including cement, metals, and other important building materials. So there it is. Let's go to the map. These guys strangle this enclave, the Lithuanians, from receiving metals, cement, and other goods. Why? Why? Because Lithuania is not my friend, a Russian might say. All right, so let's go to the next article. Ukrainian positions reportedly pounded with vacuum bombs. I'm not going to play the videos, but what is a vacuum bomb? I will tell you. Footage has emerged purportedly showing the devastating munitions being dropped in Volchansk. Russian forces are reportedly using gliding vacuum bombs in a battle of Volchansk, a city in northern Ukraine, Kharkov region, where correspondent Andrei Rubenko has shared footage purportedly showing ODAB 1,500 munitions being deployed on Sunday and Monday, but the Russian Defense Ministry has neither confirmed or denied the move. Now, these guys, ODAB 1,500, is the largest of the so-called thermobaric air bombs, also known as vacuum bombs available to the Russian militaries. These weapons disperse their explosive payloads as an aerosol before triggering a massive fireball. They are designated to inflict damage to troops hiding in fortified positions in the field. So what do? They do this. So this bomb falls in there, then releases inflammatory, as I call it, gas, like an air spray, quickly, and then it ignites it. So it poof, makes like this an explosion and burns everything around. So it's like you would be in a room, it's like a piston in a car. Very easy analogy. You put over there air, you spray a little bit of gas, and then you give a little bit of spark. Bam, boom, and it creates an explosion, puts the piston, and the piston operates the whatever engine, whatever is going to happen, wheels and so on. That's how you create energy. So same here. They just fall down, release the gas, and ignite it immediately, so that all this is boom, like a, like I have a gas tank exploding, kind of the same thing. So this is something that it seems like is very bad. Why? Because it has a big power, and gas penetrate quickly all the areas. So if you are in a room or behind some open space and that gas gets in, including the explosion, will just blow the whatever you got over there. So is that legal? Thermobaric. This is what it is. Let's move to the next one. And that's sad story for the Al Capones of this country. Russia Today. Cuba wants to be part of BRICS, foreign minister said. The leaders of member states and aspiring nations are set to meet at a summit in the Russian city of Kazan later this month. Cuba has officially applied to join BRICS as a partner state. Senior Foreign Ministry official Carlos Pereira has revealed. The Russian envoy in Havana, Victor Coronelli, very Russian, Coronelli, stated last Monday President Vladimir Putin had extended an invitation to his Cuban counterpart to attend an upcoming BRICS summit in Kazan. Now on Twitter or X, Pereira wrote, Cuba has officially applied for its incorporation into BRICS as a partner country in a missive to the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who holds the presidency of the group. The Cuban diplomat, who serves as Director General of Bilateral Affairs, characterized the group as a key actor in global geopolitics and a hope for the countries of the South. And we're going to go to the next one right here. Cuba officially applies via Russia for BRICS partner status foreign ministry. What does that mean? That means that when you're going to BRICS is just the foundation of the second club, the club of the very good, all right? And they oppose Al Capone's plantation of the United States of America with about 30 slaves, plus the house servant, which is Great Britain. Remember, Great Britain is the house servant, but it's a slave that lives in the house of the master, which is that is America. France sometimes tries to bring the mail in, and the British are just kick them out. Hey, go now, go, allez, go, fly from here. Why? Because France wants to be treated specially, but it's not. It's an Anglo-Saxon dealership here, not a French Anglo-Saxon or Latin Anglo-Saxon combination. So that's the way it is. These guys, on the other hand, as I said many times before, create a diverse world from 1 to 2 groups. Bipolar or not, or multi. They like to call it multipolar. Why? For the obvious reason they would call it bipolar. It is going to be a bipolar, not a multipolar. Who's going to be the third pole? Israel? Israel is in control of... Okay, so actually Al Capone is shackled. All right, so the Russians could deploy certain weapons in Cuba and see how the country that loves freedom and democracy and capitalism will say about it. I guarantee you they're going to have some little, my pussy hurts, ooh, where's my safe space? You can't do that. You've been doing this all over the world. Why? Because you're self-appointed, or you ascribed the title of the policeman of the world. Nobody voted. But hey, since you say you're good because you identify as good, even though the record doesn't prove that, proves good things and bad things, it's just a proportion between them. Other countries can do the same thing. Like right now, the Russians, the Chinese are sick of being treated as slaves. That's all. Hey, can you blame them? I don't think so. So let's see how the Ukrainians are blackmailing Slovakia as they blackmail Hungary, and not only Hungary, Germany as well, with turning off the gas transit from Russian transit of gas from Ukraine. Why? Because they can. Can you blame them? Well, remember when Trump went to NATO summit, not NATO summit, he went to Brussels and he met Stoltenberg, then the Secretary General of NATO. And it was that famous dinner, lunch, whatever it was over there. And Trump said that, Germany allows itself to be blackmailed by Russia with gas and oil because it depends too much on that. Well, that could be true if they are going to fight one another. But so is true for the Russians, for the Germans and the Americans right now. United States of America provides a lot of liquefied natural gas to Berlin at premium cost, 3 to 4 times more expensive than the Russian gas. Why? Because those traitors in charge of Germany, I would say, they allowed, oh, let's impose sanctions on Russia, when actually they imposed more sanctions on themselves. Why? Germany is the third economy, I think, on this planet, after the United States and China. So why do you think the Americans would like competition? No, so they screwed these guys up. So when that happened, again, the Ukrainians said, you know what, now we're going to blackmail you. They turn off, remember, the gas supplies that were still coming through some other pipes, Druzhba and others from Ukraine. And the Germans, and then you got the Poles a little bit, but it was the Slovakians and it was the Hungarians, did not have it. What happened? They blocked it. They say, well, a payment was not made by the Russians because the payment was not accepted by the banking system that are in charge of us. All right, they said, no, we're not gonna accept that. So the Ukrainians, as they are law-abiding government, they say, oh my God, you didn't pay, turn it off. Even though these guys helped them, including Germany, so they turned it off, and those were paid by some Slovakians and the Hungarians in the name of, with the right currency to the right banking system for the Russians, and therefore they got the supplies back in. So right now these guys are saying this. Ukraine warns Slovakia it won't extend agreement with Russia on gas transit. That's a blackmail. Ukraine will not prolong the agreement with Russia on transit of Russian gas through its territory after the current one expires. Ukrainian Prime Minister Shmyhal Stein told Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico on Monday Ukraine will not extend the transit agreement with Russia after the expiration of its term. End quote, Shmyhal posted on X. The Ukrainian Prime Minister also said, appointed by Zelensky Stein, another Shmyhal Stein, also said that the two countries had agreed to establish the Eastern European energy hub to use Ukraine's gas storage facilities. And what happened? Shmyhal and Fico met in Uzhhorod to discuss key issues. Right there. A Slovak and a... All right. So they met over there, and what's going to happen? These are not your friends. Now, I guarantee you that if tomorrow Slovakia would say, well, we're going to give you weapons, this guy say, hey, we're going to renew that one. Is that the way it works? Yeah, that's the way it works. Exactly like that. But it seems like some people have traitors on top of their countries, elected or not elected bureaucrats, that will make sure they do the bidding of outside forces in their domestic affairs. This is why? Because you're pressed to, like Germany, to place sanctions on yourself, actually. Otherwise, what? I mean, you have what, 70,000 American troops on your territory, Germany, and you're a free country, sovereign country. If that would be the case, you would have the same amount in the territory of the United States of America. But you don't. But you don't. All right, let's move on. Let's see what Russia captures. Russia captures key villages in Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Now, this is an article coming from the New Voice of Ukraine, right there. Make it bigger. The New Voice of Ukraine. It's the same one as 4 hours ago, today on the 8th of October. So this is the same article as the next one, but this is taken by Microsoft, tralala. It's not from its side, from the New Voice of Ukraine, and it's the same. Look at the beginning. They jump from this picture, so it's the title, right? And then is the first picture with these guys, and then is the first map. Now, in between this picture of these guys and the map, that's exactly what you want to know, but they don't tell you. And I say, deep state also noted. Also, when you say also, when you already said something. Gigi Mikey went over there. Also, Tom Jones showed up. But these guys don't tell you the first thing. Forces have advanced in the village of Maksimilianivka in Donetsk Oblast. And show you a map. And then they show you another map without anything down here. Show you another map. And on these ones, they don't name the villages. They say, well, the Russian troops had pushed into the center of Toretsk and captured the village of Pokrovsk and captured a village near Pokrovsk. So this is all. And then you go down. You know, they don't tell you. They don't give you the names. But hey, I got it from the New Voice of Ukraine, the authorized Ukrainian media outlet. And it's the same thing. Russia captures key village in Donetsk and Luhansk region. The same picture. What do you see here? Exactly what's missing on the other one, where they said the deep state also noted that. So this is where they tell you the villages. But in the other garbage, right there. You don't see the villages. They don't, right there. They jump right here. Pam. And where's the other one? Pam. So then we find out what kind of villages. Russia has captured the villages of Bazanie Perche, formerly Zalene Perche in Donetsk Oblast, and Stelmakivka in Luhansk Oblast, according to a report by the analytics project Deep State on October 8. So let's see which one is the first one. Zelenie Perche, it's right here. Here you have between Donetsk right here, and you have Pokrovsk. So in between Donetsk and Pokrovsk, here is the village. Now you know where that is, and we're going to go back to this map, which is easier. And we're going to go towards Pokrovsk, which is in Donetsk. So Donetsk, remember, it was Donetsk, it was Pokrovsk, and it was right here in between. So this area is where these guys took control, in this area here. And according to this map, this is the location. Donetsk, Pokrovsk, and a little bit south of it in a straight line. You look at this map. Donetsk right here, Pokrovsk over there, so it's in this area, a little bit south. Now, next one, what is the other one? The other one is Stelmakivka in Luhansk Oblast. Where is that located? Right here. And you find out this is between Svatove, right here, and you have here, I don't want to say garbage, obviously. Where is that? Man. Kupiansk, right here is what I was looking. Between Kupiansk and Svatove, which is almost in straight line, is right here. This is the town. And we're going to find it on the other map. Again, this beautiful map. I'm going to go to Parapaka, and we have here Kupiansk and Svatove. And this is the area right here. Svatove, so Kupiansk is in the corner over there. Svatove is here. So that means that occurred in this area. Now you know this is here. Actually in here, because they said it is in Donetsk, in Luhansk, not in Kharkiv. That's Kharkiv, the border right here. So must have been in this area. All right, my friends, this is the first video of today. I will make, oh my God, I can make about 5 today. It's maybe even more. So much bullshit over there to talk about. But hey, it's good to be to stay at least informed, or misinformed or disinformed. This will allow time to tell what information is accurate, what is not accurate, if the North Koreans are fighting in Ukraine or not, if those guys, the Polish mercenaries, killed those civilians, and so on. I think all this could be 100% true. Why? Read history. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.